Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Out of Office Club. Thank you for listening again. I do want to preface this episode by saying that the audio is probably going to suck. As you can see, if you're watching this on YouTube, I am recording this outside. I am right next to a road. You can hear roosters in the back. There's dogs. And lots of people. So I'm gonna try my best in editing, but since I'm not great at it, there's gonna be a lot of background noise, and we're just gonna have to deal with that today. So very sorry in advance. But I do have a really nice episode, I think, prepared. This was partially inspired by my roommate that I had on the cruise. She hasn't been traveling for very long, and the things that we talked about kind of inspired me to do a new episode on very specific tips that I would give people that are just starting traveling or solo traveling. So that is what I want to talk about this episode. So if you haven't traveled much or you're just curious what I would tell first time travelers, then keep listening. But let's first do a quick personal update. I last episode told you all about the Nomad Cruise, what it was like, what happened, what my thoughts were, and I wanted to add to that a little bit and then give the last personal update and where I'm at right now. So I think last episode was the last day of the Nomad Cruise, and now it's been a good week since I left. And I can say that I really needed some days to kind of leave the cruise behind, if that makes sense, and like calm down. Because I feel like that cruise was a lot. It was just, we did so many things. I met so many people, so many impressions. It was hard to really relax because there wasn't really a day where there was nothing scheduled or there were any plans or I wasn't being social. So I really needed some days to relax again. I do still think that it was a great experience. I'm not sure if I would quickly do it again just because I did find it quite overwhelming. But in terms of the experience of being on a boat, meeting a lot of people that do the same thing, networking, I felt like it definitely was worth it. It is not cheap, I will say that, but it is something special. And I think even if you just do it once, I think it very much is worth it. But I know and spoke to a lot of people on the boat who've been to the Nomad Cruise multiple times and will also sign up to the next ones. So if you're curious, then go back to the last episode and the one before that. I talked about the cruise as well and more about what it actually is, how the program is like. And then the last episode, I talked more about my experience. So since I left the boat, I was in Manila for a couple days. That's where the cruise also ended. I stayed there for about 5 days together with my roommate from the boat because we really get along. So we stayed in Manila together, which was quite nice. And Manila wasn't that interesting though. I'd heard decent things, but nothing too interesting. But still enjoyed it. Kind of did nothing, relaxed, went for some really good food, didn't explore too much. Did go to one or two other Nomad Cruise events, and that was about it. And now I am in Siargao, which is an island in the Philippines, more to the south. It's quite a large island, and it is apparently very popular with travelers and expats. So it is definitely crowded, I would say. I only arrived yesterday, so I can't really tell you what it's like yet, but so far so good. It's just really nice also to be on an island again. I feel like for the past year or so I've been more in like big cities, um so that's actually really nice. Then of course, on a more personal update, some people asked me how it was going with the guy that I met in Hong Kong after the date that we went on last week. And can't tell you I have a very good update, unfortunately. We messaged yesterday, and basically he decided that he did not want to continue. I think I would have, oh, sorry, the noises, but I would have quite liked to still see him. But of course, that would take quite a bit of effort from either of us because we'd have to fly somewhere, and he just didn't want to put in that effort, I think. He said he likes spending time with me, but there's too much uncertainty, whatever that means. So fair enough. I know that dating someone who doesn't even live anywhere, or doesn't live in the same place that you live, is not the easiest thing. So unfortunately, that is where that ends. I am sad about it because I did quite like him, as I told you guys last time. But I mean, that's what dating is like. And dating as a digital nomad is even worse. So, yeah, that is the personal update. Let me know if you have any other questions about the Nomad Cruise, about dating. I mean, you guys can ask me anything you want. So now let's get into some of the best tips that I've got for first-time travelers. These are more specific and not necessarily just related to like safety or how to make friends, but just my personal tips that I think are important and will make your experience better. So the first one, if you go and stay in hostels, I know that people fight over the bottom bunk, but I can highly recommend to stay in the top bunk. And I have reasons, okay? Um, yes, it is harder to get into beds. It's a bit more of a hassle. It's not as convenient. But I have seen so many people sit down or put their dirty backpacks or their dirty clothes onto the bottom bunk. And I wouldn't want that to be my bed. So I 100% will always choose the top bunk if I can pick. Plus the fact that people don't look like onto you while you're sleeping. I just don't like that feeling. I'd rather more like anonymous almost, like at the top of the bunk bed. So I feel like there's just no one sits down on your beds. No one puts down stuff on your beds. There's a bit less noise. I feel like there's more of your space at the top bunk. So yes, getting there is a bit annoying, but I do think that there's a lot of benefits to taking the top bunk. So just try it out, see what you think. Second one, always carry a lock with the combination. So with the numbers on the side, never get the lock with a small key, because I can guarantee you will lose that key. Something will happen, and then you can't access your locker or your bag, and it's just not worth it. I, at the moment, have 3 locks, one quite big one for like the gym or something, and then 2 smaller ones for my backpack or a small locker or whatever. Definitely don't get the ones with a key. Okay, don't do it to yourself. Get the ones with the lock. I've even used it sometimes where I slept in places where the hostel or whatever it was, a bungalow, I think, they gave me a lock. And I was like, no, I'm not using your lock with your key where you probably have the extra key, somewhere in the back. I'm going to use my own. So those are just so important to have. And especially with number combination. The third one would be to travel with a microfiber towel. I think that to me is an important one just because they're super convenient. Showering, going to the beach, whatever it is. It's just, I think that's a must. Sorry, I had to do a little cut because my roommate just came back. But yeah, the microfiber towel is just so useful for beach, for the, if you have to shower somewhere and they don't give you a towel, but also when you go to the gym, I highly recommend getting one. And the nice thing about those towels is that they dry super fast. The fourth one, I think that's a basic, but just always have some cash. Right now I'm in Siargao and I was warned to bring cash, so I brought a lot of cash, but I feel like it's still not enough. There are ATMs, but half of them don't work, or they're out of cash, or they're difficult to get to. So definitely make sure you just have some cash on you. The amount of places where you can't pay by card is outrageous. I'm also, of course, spoiled because you can pay by card everywhere in the Netherlands, but of course abroad that's not always the case. And that also brings me to the next one, which is make sure that you travel with 2 credit cards. Might sound a bit strange, but I can, sorry, I'm getting so distracted, but I can highly recommend to take 2 credit cards because I have noticed sometimes my card will get rejected at an ATM or the bank, but my other one will not, or the fees are different and one is just better than the other. And I've had it before when I was traveling. Oh, I forgot where I was. I think it was in Australia, somewhere in New Zealand, but one of my cards got swallowed by the ATM machine. I still don't know why, but I guess the bank or my bank thought there was something wrong, so my card got swallowed. So then at least I had a second one, so I could still get around and get cash out. But I would say that that's a really important one. And if you do have to, try and make sure they're never in the same place. So don't take both out with you. Don't have both in the same backpack, just in case if you lose one or say you get robbed, then at least you lose one card and not both at the same time. I guess same kind of goes for, at least in Europe, we have an ID card. So we have a passport and an ID card. Sure, your ID card doesn't get you very far, but at least it's some form of identification. Try and keep those separate as well. If you have two passports, do the same, keep them separate. The next one, invest in a proper power bank. The amount of times that a power bank has saved my life, I cannot tell you. I That would be also for me the main reason to get a new iPhone. Not because this one, I've got the 15 Pro, not because it's bad or because it's not working, but literally because the battery dies a lot faster now. And that's the one thing that I feel like is so important when you're on your own and you're traveling. You need to have power. You need to be able to check where you are, call someone, call for help if you need to. Don't ever leave the house if your battery's dying. Make sure you have a power bank. I've got three actually. I've got one really small one in my handbag. That is an emergency one. I've got one bigger one that's on the side of my bag from Taurus, which I really, really like. It's got a cable included that I use a lot. And then I've got a bigger one that I can even charge my laptop with a tiny bit. So I know they're expensive, but they are so, so important, especially on travel days. So I basically have one with me at all times. The next one, download offline maps. I know that's a bit of a basic one maybe, but the amount of times that I've landed somewhere and my data doesn't immediately work or the Wi-Fi shit, or it's just really useful to have offline maps. Even yesterday I took a tuk-tuk here and I showed him where I wanted to go, but my internet wasn't working, so I could do it on the offline map that I downloaded. It's a small thing, but you'll notice sometimes it's just so good to not have to rely on data everywhere you go. My next one. I know I'm going through these very quickly, but I've got about 15 tips in total, and I think they don't need too much explanation. But if you do have any questions, anything you want to add to them, put it in the comments, let me know. My next one, which has also saved me so many times, is to take a photo of or screenshot of your passport or other tickets that you get, like QR codes, things that you get in your email. Because it's happened to me before where I had to show a QR code and right at that moment, my data didn't work, my email didn't open, the mail itself wasn't downloaded to my phone and I couldn't show it. So always take a screenshot so that you just have it in your photo library, and take a photo of your passport. There are so many times when you travel when they ask for your passport number or your expiration date, and if you're then happen to not have your passport on you, or it's like at the bottom of your bag, then at least you can pull up a photo. Plus, I've actually gotten into places where they asked for identification, but I didn't have my passport on me, and I'd show them a photo and they'd be like, oh, that's fine. I would also say knowing your passport number, but on the top of your head, or like remembering it. I don't know if that's how you say it, but knowing your passport number by heart is so useful. I know mine, and I've known mine forever, so I can just write it down whenever they ask. I also know the date I got it and the expiration date. Will I still double check? Definitely, but occasionally I just know and I can write it down, and I don't have to take too much time trying to figure all that out. The next one, don't overpack. I feel like my roommate definitely has done that. If I see her backpack, I understand it, but you will basically never have clothes for every scenario, and that's okay. You will do hikes in clothes that might not be ideal. You'll go to certain events, maybe slightly underdressed. That's completely fine. No one really cares. You don't need outfits for every occasion. Laundry exists. Markets exist. You could always buy something if you feel like you really, really need it. And trust me, there is nothing worse than traveling with a backpack or suitcase that's too heavy. I've done it many times, and the frustration just isn't worth it. So don't do that to yourself. Be very, very picky with what you bring. Even already now, I'm considering throwing away or giving away a couple of my items just because I notice I'm not actually wearing them much or enjoy wearing them as much. Of course, now someone decides to go and chop some wood. I'm so sorry for the audio. Um, Bring earplugs and an eye mask, even if you feel like, oh, I can sleep anywhere and I'm completely fine. You have no idea. I mean, just listen to this noise. This was also last night. The air conditioning in the room is incredibly noisy. There were dogs barking. And then in the morning, they're doing, work on the house. I don't know. Make sure you have those things. Most places don't have blackout curtains. They don't have very well insulated walls or windows. You might have roommates that snore. You don't know. Bring earplugs and an eye mask. Do yourself a favor and pack those. 11. This one does have a bit to do with safety, but I do highly recommend that if you're going to a new country or a new place, to always try and arrive at daylight. I'd rather leave early in the morning when it's still a bit dark, but then arrive during the day than the other way around, where I leave during the day, but I arrive at night, because it's a new place. And it's always a bit harder to arrive somewhere and find your way than it is to just leave somewhere. Plus, of course, when you arrive late, I mean, you're tired, you're overstimulated, you're probably hungry. So make it easier for yourself and try and arrive during the day. I mean, it's also a bit of a safety thing, right? It just gives you a bit more opportunity to see what's happening and what is or is not safe, and to find your way. More people on the street, just it's safer. And that's why I also, I mean, traveling is stressful. Okay, I've said this before, I think, but I love traveling, but I also hate traveling. I hate travel days. I don't enjoy them. Yesterday was a travel day. Everything went completely fine. It went kind of smooth. I still was cranky, tired, sweaty, gross. Like, oh, and I those are the days where I feel like you just have to accept a travel day is almost like a bit of a wasted day. You travel, you arrive, you make sure you don't do too much, you do the basics, like we got food, we got water. That was it. That was it. And that's really all I think you have to do on the first day. If you have energy, go somewhere, but make it easy, make it relaxed, okay? Please. The next one, keep your address written down somewhere. Again, I think, or just the screenshot that I talked about before also goes for addresses. It's just really good to know where your stay is, whether that's in a hotel or an Airbnb. Write down the name, write down the address somewhere, have it screenshotted on a map so that you can show people. It really, really works, and it makes you less reliable on the internet. And the last two, I think, might be a bit more basic, but still nonetheless so important. Don't ever flash any of your valuables. So if you have certain jewelry that's expensive or looks expensive, don't wear it, basically, or decide when to wear it. And only do it in places or countries where you know that is a safe thing to do, where, maybe generally people are richer or are not so focused on that. I wouldn't even bring them traveling, to be honest. I think because valuables mean something else to everyone. To everyone, it's not just about things that are expensive. It's things that just are valuable to you. And I remember on my first backpacking trip, I think I took a couple things that had a lot of value to me. I think one was just a simple t-shirt, but I loved it. Some bracelet that I really liked that had some sentimental value. And I lost both of that because when you're traveling, things break, things get lost, things just vanish. So don't bring anything that is valuable. And if you do have things like jewelry that's expensive, just don't. I wouldn't even bring it, but definitely don't wear it. You just don't want to make yourself a target in that way. The same thing goes, like, if you go and eat somewhere, don't put your phone on the table. Always have it in a bag or hide it. When you go to an ATM and you take out cash, don't count your cash. You don't want to show people what you have, right? That you have cash or that you have valuables. Um, you want to blend in. And that combines with the last tip. Even if you are new somewhere and you don't really know what you're doing or where you're going, try and be confident. I know that that can be hard, but act as if you know where you're going. There, I mean, hesitation and showing that you're not from somewhere or that you don't know how things work make you an easier target. So you need to kind of show confidence, walk with purpose. If someone stops you and says something, you just say no and you keep going. Because that's something else that I think I've learned. If you really do need help, don't wait for people to approach you, because the chance that they have bad intent is higher than if you go and approach someone. Because then you would somehow be very unlucky to find or approach someone who has bad intentions. But someone with bad intentions would quickly come to you. So um, be confident, act like you know what you're doing. If you don't, try and, hide that a little bit. Make sure that you stand in the right place when you take out your phone to look at something, and go and ask for help instead of waiting for someone to come to you. I think those are kind of the most important tips that I can give first time travelers. At least the ones I could come up with this morning that I have also talked about with my roommate. Um, I highly recommend, anyone to go and travel, try solo traveling. It is not as scary as it sounds. It is not that difficult. And all of these things you'll figure out by yourself. And we all make mistakes. I made so many mistakes when I first started traveling, and that's completely fine. But I hope that these tips might help. If you have any other questions or worries, then please let me know in the comments. If there's any tips that I may have missed that you think are really important. Everyone travels differently, right? Like, again, I love the top bunk, but I also know many people hate it. So try them out for yourself, see what works. Let me know if you have any other good tips for first-time travelers. And then I want to thank you for listening again this week, and I really hope to see you again next week. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.